Thank you very much, Sensei. Good morning, students. I am Professor Raghav Uday Kiran. So in this class, I will be teaching you the basics of data mining. So can you hear me on?
Yes.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. So the outline of today's presentation will be as follows. Okay. So in the first, we will be discussing the power of abstraction. Next, we will be discussing why we need to do data mining. So the importance of data mining we will cover, followed by fundamentals of data. So how do we look at the data? So that will be covered today. Then we talk about what are the basic data mining techniques. And finally, we will be looking at the frequent pattern mining and association rule mining models and algorithms. So this is the rough outline of the presentation. So the first one is power of abstraction. So as you can see here, okay, so all of us know black box, right? So what is the black box means? You don't know what happens inside, okay? But we know that given a particular set of input parameters, okay, we will get some output. So the classic example is saving a file, right? So the thing is, in your PC, you have a single disk, or you can have multiple disks. Or if you look at the distributed file system, you don't know how the system is internally. But when you ask the system to save a file, okay, it does some internal calls, system calls, and it gives you the output whether the file has been saved or error has occurred when it is trying to save the file. Okay, so this is the power of abstraction. You can see in this is the generalization, right? So if you move from left to right, okay, you can see there is a generalization from single disk, multiple disk, or distributed system. The user doesn't have to know what's the underlying architecture of the machine it is. Okay, he has to simply assume there are some disks and he is simply storing. Okay, so this is the power of abstraction. And why this power of you have to understand the power of abstraction will be discussed in this presentation. So this is one classic of examples. Okay, the on the left side you see how the operating system is seen. So the users, okay, they don't need to know how what are the algorithms that are run in CPU, how memory is managed in RAM, how things are happening at IO level. Okay, you simply write, or users will simply communicate with the operating system, and operating system will internally takes care of it. Okay, so this is the abstraction. Similarly for the Spark environment also. These are all the blocks, okay? So they communicate to internal levels. Users doesn't have to worry about it. Users only have to look at their particular components. They don't need to know the complete understanding of the system, okay? Just they have to focus on their particular task. That is the advantage of abstraction. Because of abstraction only we can see computers, okay, being applied in different areas, applied areas. So how do we represent abstraction in the mathematical model? Okay, so this is how one way of representation. So we have an input, okay, that input will be given to a particular function, okay, and this function will give output. This function is a mathematical model, okay. So how does we represent this function in different systems? If you look at the database systems, okay, user wants to input a transaction, okay, this function which is called ACID, okay. Have you guys done database course? Hello students, have you done database course? Can you hear me at least?
Yes, we
Okay,
Yeah,
fine. Yeah. So acid, these are called acid properties: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Okay. So
okay.
these properties will kick in. They ensure whether to insert the transaction or to cancel the transaction. Okay. Similarly, in the data mining, we have algorithms. Okay. So you give data as input and you give some parameters to the algorithm. Okay. The function will take these two and it will output some information, or it will say I cannot process the data. Similarly, in the machine learning course, okay, you have data, you have some functions, you have some hyperparameters, right? So you give all these inputs to the function, okay, and the function will give you the output. If there is inconsistency in the data, it cannot process it. Okay. Now I
Okay.
have one question, okay, for all of you. The question is very simple. Okay. Do we need data for machine learning? Please answer it in the chat. I want students to be interactive, so please answer in the chat. Please go to the chat. Do we need data for machine learning or not? You can say yes or no. Let us wait for one more. Okay, the answer is no. Machine learning doesn't require data. The reason is, okay, actually if you have learned if you go through the basics of machine learning, okay, the machine learning starts with something called logic. Okay, so logic does not need data. Or let me give you some simple example. Okay, you have a pyramid. Okay, at the same time you have a cylinder. Okay, you can put, okay, cone or a pyramid on a cylinder. Okay, but you cannot put, okay, cylinder on a cone. This is wrong. Okay, this is the base initial stages of machine learning. You are teaching to the computer, okay, what they are trying to do. So the actual motivation for machine learning is as follows. They want, in the beginning days of machine learning or artificial intelligence, okay, they want the machine to mimic that of a small kid, okay, 2-year-old or 3-year-old kid, they want to mimic. So if you give a kid, okay, these blocks, okay, a pyramid block and the cylinder, okay, block, and if we ask the kid to put pyramid on a cube, okay, he will put it. Okay, at the same time, if you ask the kid to put cylinder on a pyramid, he won't put it, okay, because it will fall down. So he will not try too much. So this kind of logic, okay, they actually scientists are trying to do. Okay, so in the computer science, we have something called Turing Award, right? Turing Award. So in the early stages, this was the topic that people were looking at. So remember, okay, machine learning doesn't require always data.
Okay.
This is simple. Okay? This is called logic. Okay, you might have learned, right? A intersection B. Okay, A
Yes.
union B, and these are all logics. If you are interested, you can learn first order logic, second order logic, third order logic. These are different topics, but I'm not covering. But if you are interested, you can look at this.
Okay.
Now let us look at this one. Theoretical research versus applied research. Okay. So we have this black box model. Okay. Theoretical researchers, okay, work on this one. They work on the functions, what they are working on. At the same time, we have applied people, right? Sellers, doctors, astronomers, police, and some other people. What they do is theoretical people will come up with model, okay? For you, let us assume in data mining, it is association rule mining. We call them ARM. Or you can consider like artificial neural network, something, okay? Theoretical scientists come up with this. What other people will do, they simply take some data, okay? They put the data into the model that theoretical researchers give and generate some model, okay? So this is
Okay.
what. Now the thing is, the people who apply, okay? They are called applied researchers or domain experts, or these are the end users in the mathematical terms, okay? But if you look from the corporate terms, they are called data analysts and data engineers. These people only analyze the outputs, okay? They don't work on the mathematical model, okay? Whereas theoretical researchers, okay, work on the models. Okay, people, okay, industry people, okay, corporate people call us as data scientists, okay. Actually, what my opinion is, personal opinion is, this term is a misnomer. Why? Because a data scientist, okay, will never look at the data, okay. He will never look at the data because each application has different kinds of data, okay. If you look at the healthcare data, the images, you talk about images, it's a different, okay. If you look at the meteorological department, the data will be looking different. So when you are trying to develop any model, okay, we don't look at the data. What we look at is, we look at the characteristics of data or the nature of data, okay. I'm saying we imagine how the data is. We have to understand how the data looks like. And for that look, we will be developing the mathematical model, okay. So we look at skewed data, dense data, sparse data, high dimensional data. So these are different kinds of nature. So we look at this kind of data and we will be developing. We will never look at the applications, okay. And if, since you are graduate students, okay, if you want to publish very good papers in A level or A star level, okay, they are mostly at this level. You have to work on the core, okay. But instead, if you try to input the data, then they generally go to B/C level conferences or journals. So it's very important for you to look at the basic, okay, function level. So my courses, I am looking mostly at the function level. Okay. Now we will see why we have to understand. Okay. So I try to theorize, okay, a function in terms of, in the data mining, what happens. Okay. So in the data mining, we have something called a model. Okay. This is a theoretical model. The function, okay, the black box can be divided into two parts. One is the model. The other one is called algorithm. Okay. So what we try to do is, in the model, we have generic pattern mining, classification, clustering. These are completely mathematical by nature. Okay. And then what we try to do is, for these models, we develop some algorithms to extract all the desired output. Okay. So the example of a model is, this is a frequent pattern mining is one model, okay, that we will be discussing in this presentation. For this model, we have different algorithms. One is called a priori, the next one is called ECLAT, and the last one is called FPGO. So these are the different algorithms that try to find all frequent patterns that appear in the data. What are these frequent patterns? I will be discussing later. But understand, there is a model called frequent pattern, okay, which tries to extract patterns that are occurring frequently in the data. We have three algorithms, okay, for it. You can use any algorithm to extract those patterns, okay. Similarly, we have maximal frequent pattern model, weighted frequent pattern model, high utility pattern model, periodic pattern model, coverage patterns. So many models we have, okay? And these are the fundamental algorithms, right? So the versions or the extensions of these algorithms can be used to mine these patterns, okay? Okay, now let us go to a different topic, okay?
Okay.
Now let's, in the chart, you tell me, is the first computer, okay? The Charles Babbage invented computer, right? So
Yes.
the computer designed by Charles Babbage, is it digital or mechanical? Don't search, just tell me.
It's
You can,
mechanical.
huh?
It's mechanical.
Why mechanical?
Um,
Then why did we move to digital? Okay. The first computer is mechanical, okay? So it was designed using gears, pulleys, and levers, okay? The
Okay.
problem with the computation is, okay, you want you want the lever to move exactly 10,000 times, okay? So when when you put gates in motion, it is very hard to stop the gates at 10,000 exactly, okay?
Okay.
Because of the gravity and friction, it can move above also, okay? So the computations, there were so many errors. You cannot stop the mechanical components exactly at that point, okay? Or if you want to move a lever a particular degree exactly at 11 degrees, you cannot do it practically. So the first mechanical computer that was designed had so many limitations. Especially when you are looking at the big numbers, the mechanical computers tend to break because of friction, right? Because friction will generate heat. The heat
Yes.
will have different properties and the gravity. So they were not working properly. That's why people have shifted from mechanical
To digital.
to digital. Okay.
Yes.
So just
Okay.
remember it. It's a fun one. Now we talk about the importance of data mining. Okay. So what happened is, okay, since 2000, okay, we had a era of internet explosion, right? We had Google and others. Internet has become very popular. So what happened is we are collecting volumes of data. Okay. So what's the problem is companies are collecting lots of data. Okay, but they don't know how to analyze this data. This word is called data rich information poor condition. Okay, companies are collecting huge data, but they don't know how to extract useful information from the data. So this is called data rich. So the word has first appeared in this book, In Search of Excellence. You can see it is the #1 bestseller actually. Very famous book. If you have time, we can read this book. It's interesting. So what happened is the field of data mining has emerged, okay, to extract knowledge from this data. So this is called process of knowledge discovery in databases. First one is we have data, okay. What we do is we select the portion of data that is needed for us. Okay, then we process the data. Okay, then we transform the data. Then we perform some analytics on the data. Then these analytics will be useful for the interpretation and for knowledge discovery. For example, assume we have some Yahoo data. Okay, Yahoo supermarket, or let us take Amazon better. Okay, AMAZ, Amazon. Okay, Amazon has sells data of various things, right? Electronics, books, and various things. Okay, so now what we do is we want to analyze, let us say, electronics. So we do a selection, and we only take goods, electronic goods. Okay.
Yes.
Now, once we have take the electronic goods, the data may have so many inconsistencies. Okay, special characters. Okay, then some what we say, typos. Okay, so many typos will be there. Okay, so what we do in pre-processing is we remove this. We try to remove special characters, and we try to correct typos. Once we do this, okay, now we come to something called transformation. What transformation says is, assume in Japan, Amazon sells everything in yen, right? In
Yes.
US, it sells in dollars. In India,
Yes.
Amazon sells in rupee.
Yes.
Okay, there are 3 different currencies. Okay, if you
Okay.
want to find something interesting, you have to convert all of them into one. Let us take dollar. So this transformation will convert all the currencies, okay, into dollar or yen, into unified format or rupee. And once we convert this transformation, we get some data. Okay. So on this data, we apply some pattern mining and we extract some patterns. So these patterns, we use it for knowledge discovery purpose. So this is the entire cycle of knowledge discovery. So what is data mining? Data mining is a set of techniques to discover useful information in very large databases. So what are the basic techniques? There are 4 basic techniques. One is association rule mining. Next one is clustering, then classification and prediction. These are the basic data mining techniques. Okay. Now my question is, now shall we go into data mining techniques? Oh, it came back. Okay, it should have come late. So before talking about data mining techniques, I told you we have to understand fundamentals of data. So if you want to become, okay, data scientist, you should see the things from the fundamental level. So let us see how a theoretical scientist looks at the data at the fundamental level. Okay. So when we look at the data at the fundamental level, we look at data from 3 characteristics. One is type of the data. So what kind of data we are trying to take into account. Then how is the data stored? Okay. And next one is measures of data. So we look at each of them. So this is the types of data. Okay. First one is interval scaled variables. Okay. So means you have continuous data, height, age, weight. Okay. These are called interval scale because they take values from 1 to n, or we call rational numbers. Okay. Let me say generalize. Okay. They take the values of rational numbers. Then we have binary data. Okay. Which is yes or no or true or false.
Yes.
Next is categorical variables. Okay. Categorical variables are like colors. Okay. Red, green, blue. These are categories. Okay. Then we have ordinal. Ordinals are nothing but categorical variables, but they exhibit order. Remember, okay, this is the key difference between a categorical variable and an ordinal variable. Ordinary variables have an order, okay? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, okay? There is a sequence of order. Categorical variables do not exhibit order, okay? Then we have ratio scale variables. Ratio scale variables are nothing but interval scale variables, but they are exponential variables, okay? Best example is COVID-19 cases, okay? When you plot it, the graph looks like this, right?
Yes.
These are called exponential variables, okay?
Okay.
And exponential variables, because as the time keeps on increasing, okay, the values increase, okay, at e power x or 2 power n, something like that, okay? That's why they are called exponential curves, exponential variables, okay? And
Okay.
these two, okay, are called quantitative. At the very high level, they are called quantitative attributes. Okay, so they take real numbers, plus real numbers, minus real numbers. On the other hand, these variables are called qualitative attributes. Quantitative attributes and qualitative attributes. Okay? So remember, we should have to remember these things. Okay, for which attributes what we are trying to do is important. Now that we know the types of variables, okay, now look at methods of storage. Okay, the one is the famous one is transactional database. Means you assume data exists in the form of one file. You can think it as a file, or you can consider it as a database. Okay, so what are the characteristics when you consider something as transactional database? Means data comes very slowly. Okay, so you don't care about updating the database. You assume this is the data I am going to work on. That's all. I am not going to work on new data that is coming. Next one is you can scan this data multiple times, because since the data is not changing, I can keep scanning the data multiple times. You have that flexibility. Okay. And the most third point is data is limited. Okay. Once you are given this block, it is fixed. You don't need to worry about huge data or something. Okay. These are the three characteristics of a transactional database. Okay. So when you are developing algorithms or models, okay, then if you can take data as transactional database, then you can use these three properties in your model and algorithm. Okay. And the second one is streams. Okay. Stream means you assume data is flowing very fast. Okay. So then you can scan the data only once. Once you have scanned the data, that's all. You can never scan the same data again. Then data is unbound. Okay. So these are the characteristics of a stream. So you can see that because streams are completely opposite to the transactional databases. Okay. When we apply data mining techniques on the streams, they are probabilistic by nature. Okay. Probabilistic by nature, because you may miss some data. Okay.
Okay.
Let me tell you an example. Okay. Assume today is not a holiday. Today is a working day. Okay. Let us take today is Friday. Okay. So people did not purchase some items like bread or jam. Okay. Today they did not purchase. Okay. So what happens is when you are modeling this data as a stream, okay, you delete them. So you don't know the count of bread today. Okay. Then tomorrow many people, okay, tomorrow is Saturday, so many people went to the shop and they have purchased bread and jam. Okay, then what happens is you get a different count for bread.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But the thing is, if as sorry, let us assume the bread was jam was infrequent. Okay, sorry. Okay, jam is infrequent, bread was frequent. So we maintain the count of bread, but we did not maintain the count of jam. Sorry, my bad. Okay.
Okay.
And we have purchased both. So now what happens is we have count of bread, we have count of jam. Now if you want to measure the count of bread and jam, we lost this data. We cannot measure the exact frequency of jam. There is an error in your measurements, okay? Because you have deleted this count of yesterday, but we have the count of bread. Whereas in this case, if you consider it as a transactional database, you always have certainty because you know data is not going to change. So this is the one. So we have certainty, and in streams we have probability. Next one is graphs. Okay, so we store data in the form of nodes and edges like web pages, Twitter. Okay, we store data in the form of graphs. So these are the three basic methods of storage. Now let us look at the measurements of data. For example, let us take bread. Okay, we have for frequency. Okay, if you take any object in the data, okay, it will have frequency. After frequency, we have time. Okay, so frequency and time are basic measurements. Okay, so most of them will have these two attributes for any item or object. Okay, we have these two. These are called basic measurements. In addition to this, we have application specific measurements like location. Okay, in which shop a particular item was purchased. Similarly, the size of the item, the price of the item, and so on. So these are the basic measurements for the data. Okay, so we call them as domain specific measurements. Okay.
Okay.
Now, why are we talking about it? Okay. Let us take this. Okay. So now I am converting. Okay, we have some data mining model. Okay, you consider this as f of x, f dot, a function. Okay, which takes binary data as input. Okay, it is taking binary data. Okay, that is, it will take data in the form of true or false, or yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, and it gives you some output. Clear?
Clear.
Now what I am trying to do is I am taking out the inputs. Okay, I am using the same model. Okay, but I am trying to change the input to interval scale data. Okay, you know what is interval scale? Height. Okay, that is continuous data. Okay, real numbers. And I am giving that data as an input to a model. Okay. Okay, now tell me whether we can get any input output or not. Please type in the chat. Do we get any output or not? Say yes or no. Hello?
Maybe knowledge too.
Why? For everything you should say why also, right? You should not simply make, okay, professor is asking, so it should be the opposite of your implicit. You should give me the reason why.
Because this model just counts the yes or no, true or false data, but when I give the scattered data, it will not work properly.
Okay, very close, but slightly missing. Okay, the thing is, see, it can see when I say binary, it can understand only 0 and 1, right?
Yes.
If I give it 100 or 125, it cannot understand.
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
what happens is, boom, it will not work.
Yes. Okay.
Okay? Similarly, okay, here the input is transactional database. Okay, transactional data means the data will be fixed. I am not going to change the data. I am going to give this data to the model and it is going to give me the output. Okay.
Okay.
Now I am changing it to a stream. Okay. What happens? It will not work because it wants to scan the data multiple times, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because since the model assumed data as transactional database, it wants to read the data multiple times. Okay.
Yes.
But the thing is, stream will not give you for the second time.
Yes.
So it does not know the frequencies or whatever the information for, okay? So
Okay.
it fails, the model fails completely.
Okay.
The same thing, okay? I am giving you frequency, okay?
Okay.
Means I know only the frequency. Now I am giving time also. Means if you go into a shop, so okay, I will discuss. Time is at each time a person has purchased the items, okay?
Okay.
For example, we have the Shokudo, we have the bookstore in Aizu Daigaku, right? So assume I am giving you the sales data of that shop. Okay. If I remove the timestamp, you only have the frequencies of items of books you are purchasing or the food items, chocolates you are purchasing. We have frequency, right?
Yes.
Now what I give is for each transaction, for each item people are purchasing, I give also the time. Okay.
Okay.
Now, do you think the same model will work? I am giving you additional information, right?
Yes.
Now, do you think the same model will work or not?
Frequency, time. It should work
Okay.
because it has the main data with additional data, but it should work, I think.
Yeah, okay. The thing is, it will work. Okay.
Okay.
But it will miss useful information.
Okay.
I will tell you how. Okay. For example, let us take our shop in Aizu Daigaku. Okay.
Okay.
If I am giving you only frequencies, okay, what you can do is you can find what are the items, okay, that are frequently purchased by the user. Okay.
Okay.
You can find, okay, you can say these books are frequently purchased by the users, or this kind of food is frequently purchased by the users. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if I'm giving you time, what you are still trying to find is, even though you give time, I ignore it completely and I still find only frequently purchased items. Okay. But the thing is, when I am giving time, you can find what are the items that are periodically purchased by the users. Okay. When I am giving time, what the importance of time is, you want to find periodically purchased. What are the items that are periodically purchased or regularly purchased by the users? And what are the items that are irregularly purchased by the users? Okay. But the model will not find it. It only finds frequent. It cannot capture regularity. Okay. How regularly something is happening, I don't know. For example, assume you guys have come to, I have attended 10 classes, okay?
Okay.
6 classes, let us assume you guys have attended, because of internet problem, you guys have attended 6 classes, okay?
Okay.
So frequent pattern mining says, oh, since it is 6, it is a frequent, okay?
Okay.
But whether you are attending the class regularly, at least once in every, or attending at least once in every 2 class or not, you cannot capture it. Let me
Yes.
tell you, okay? Something is 1, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, okay?
Okay.
10, 100, 101, 129, okay? 130, okay? What frequency says is, okay, this count is 5, this count is 5, okay?
Yes.
But this is useless.
Yes.
This is interesting because there is a periodic regularity, okay?
Okay.
This model misses, okay?
Okay.
That's why it will fail. So you have to capture the regularities also. So when you are increasing it, it's not the same. If you put it, you miss some interesting information. That's why. That's why you have to understand the nature. So whenever we are building model, we look at whether the data is binary or not. Okay. Then what is the attributes we are going to take?
Okay.
Hope now I think I taught you the how to look at the data. Okay. Now let us look at the basic data mining technique. As I told you, okay. These are the first one is frequent pattern mining and association rules. Okay. So let us take this is the supermarket data. Okay. Just like Aizo Daigaku supermarket. Okay.
Okay.
People are purchasing these items. Okay. Bread jam, pencil, bread jam, pen. Okay. 10 people have purchased these. Okay. In this,
Okay.
there is a frequent pattern. Bread ka jam is a frequent pattern. Okay. From this pattern, you can say people who are purchasing bread, how many are purchasing jam? Okay.
Okay.
Similarly, people who are purchasing jam, how many are purchasing bread?
Bread. Okay.
Okay. The difference is, see, whenever you purchase bread, you may not purchase jam, right? Because
Right.
bread is much cheaper than jam. You purchase jam like once in a week. Like if you purchase 10 times bread, you purchase one time one jam bottle, right?
Yes. Yes.
So the thing is, whenever you purchase one jam bottle, it's like you also purchase bread.
Yes. Yes.
The inverse is true, but this is not, okay?
Okay.
So we try to, so once we find these frequent patterns, we try to extract these associations, which are interesting, okay? This is basic one. Next one is classification. So in the classification, what we do is, we have data in the form of classes. These are called class labels, okay? So here you can see we have student, okay, age of the person, whether he is a student or not, what is his credit rating, and whether he is purchasing a computer or not, okay? When you are given these class labels, we convert this data into a tree structure or some classification models, and we use it to make a
Yes.
decision. This is called classification that we will be discussing in the next class. Similarly, clustering. In the clustering, we don't give any class label. You simply cluster the data. Okay. So this is,
Yes.
so here you can see there is no class label. We cluster the data. Okay.
Okay.
So these are the basic things. Now in this presentation, we will be discussing about frequent pattern mining. Okay.
Okay.
So I told you, right, the function f of x.
Yes.
F of x can be decomposed into a model and the algorithm. Okay. So what we'll be doing is, first we have to learn the model. What is the mathematical model? Okay. Then we will be looking at the algorithm that will be implementing this model. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So for my way of telling is, I will take the example and I will put the mathematics also side by side. Okay. So this is the transactional database. Okay. Previously, I have given you bread jam, right?
Yes.
This is for people to understand, okay? But when we talk or when we try to explain the things in the abstract sense, we don't use, because when you put bread and jam, you are making things application specific, okay? So
Yes, yes.
we eliminate. So instead of that, we use alphabets or Greek letters, okay?
Okay.
So I have converted the transactional database into this form, okay? You can think A as bread, okay, no problem. B as jam,
So,
okay?
okay.
E as bat, F as ball. You can assume, okay? So we are
Okay.
converting them into ABCD, or you can put numbers also, no problem, okay? So
Okay.
you can, so this is a transaction, okay? Please remember the word. This is called transaction.
Okay.
Each transaction has a unique identifier. This is called transaction identifier or TID, okay?
Okay.
Now I am giving some items, okay? Let I be some set of items, I1 to IN, okay? So
Yes,
here you
yes.
can see I is A, B, C, D, E, F up to H, okay?
Yes.
Now what we try to do is, a pattern is a subset of these items, okay? So I have this, a pattern is nothing but a subset. So A is a subset of I, right?
Yes.
So this is a pattern. AB is a subset of I. So we call this also a pattern. Similarly, this is also a pattern. These are
Okay.
all the patterns. Okay?
Okay.
Hope this is clear. Similarly, B is a pattern. ABC is also a pattern. Okay? All the subsets are pattern.
Yes.
Now we have something called transaction. Okay? I told you. Okay? We have a transaction identifier and a pattern. Okay?
Okay.
So each one, so this is a transaction. So this is the identifier and this is the pattern. This can also be written as AB, no problem. Okay, because since these are strings, you don't need to put comma. Okay, we can simply say AB, no problem. You don't lose any information. And the collection of these transactions is called transactional database. Okay.
Okay.
Now tell me, what are the characteristics of this database? I gave you the types of data, right?
Yes.
So tell me the characteristics of this one. Now we are talking about frequent pattern mining, right? I gave you the data. Okay. What are the characteristics of this data?
How many item in different transaction?
No, that is not the character.
Okay.
Okay, let me take you back. Okay.
Okay.
Please note it down. Okay. These are, please note down. Okay. Types of data, methods of data storage, and measures of data. Okay. These are the 3 dimensions. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now I'm taking you back to the problem. Okay. Now we are here, right? Okay. Now tell me the type of the data.
Okay. Wait. Type of the data type. Okay.
What is the type of this data?
I am confused, but
This is binary data.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Let me tell you why. Okay.
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, right?
Yes.
So at each first row, okay, A is 1, B is 1, rest are 0.
Oh,
Okay.
I understand. Yes.
2, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. Binary data. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
This is
Okay.
the type.
Okay.
Then storage method is it transactional? I have written already here, okay? Or a stream, or a graph. Which format is this?
Transactional.
Why? What are the properties of a transactional? Data will not change. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
And I can scan multiple times.
Yes.
These are the properties. Okay. You
Okay.
have to understand, because when we are developing algorithms, okay, they will come into picture. That's why you should understand. And the next one is measurement. What is the measurement here?
Measurement.
I told you what are the basic measurements: frequency, time, right?
Yes.
Is there time here?
No, it's just frequency.
Yeah. So this model is designed only for frequency.
Frequency, yes.
Okay. If you want to see how time is handled, look at my papers. Look at periodic, frequent patterns. Later, after the class, if you are interested, you can see how time is captured later. Okay.
Okay.
This is later topic. This is advanced course mostly. But anyway, okay. So now you understood. Okay.
Yes.
So this data is transactional by nature. Only frequency is there, and all items are binary by nature.
Binary, yes.
But in the supermarket, you can purchase three bed packets, right?
Yes.
4 bed packets. We are not capturing it. Okay. Remember,
Okay.
because I am handling binary. If you want to capture that, it will not work. You will see now. Okay.
Okay.
Now you have understood the transaction database. Okay.
Okay, understood.
Now let us look at the frequency of a pattern. Frequency of a pattern X is number of transactions containing X in the database.
Yes.
So frequency of AB is, it appeared 8 times. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So the frequency is 8.
Okay.
Now the slide is full, so I will be going. Okay.
Okay.
So now we call something called support. Okay.
Okay.
So what we are trying to do is, we are dividing the frequency by database size. Okay. And then we are getting this one. Okay.
Yes.
What is this called? Why do we have to divide the data frequency into the database size? Why do we do that? What is the rationally?
Because we want that percentage of.
Yeah, why do you want to know percentage?
Then we can know that how many items sell.
Okay. See, the thing is, this is called something. Okay. Why do we have to go to percentages? The percentage concept is called normalization.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. See, I have given you in this database, frequency of AB is 8, right?
Yes.
Now assume there is one more database. Okay.
Okay.
In this database, frequency of AB is 100. Okay.
Okay.
Now, which is interesting? Upper one is interesting or below one is interesting?
Below one is interesting because.
Why?
Because it has the frequency is number is high.
Okay. Correct. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Here it is out of 20. It has appeared, right?
Okay.
It has appeared in 1 million transactions.
Oh no.
Okay. Now
Okay.
tell me, which is interesting.
Now 8 is interesting.
Now you understood the power of normalization?
Yes. Understood.
Okay. So these are called null transactions actually.
Okay.
Null means the transactions which do not contain this item set. Okay.
Okay.
So if you don't normalize, you cannot say something is interesting or not. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
For
Okay.
example, I will tell you. Okay. Assume on the earth. Okay.
Okay.
If someone is hanging in front of you. Okay.
Okay.
You will say he is hanging up and down, right?
Yes.
How you are saying is up and down?
Because I know the pattern of.
No, you are taking earth as a reference.
Oh
Okay,
yes.
since you are
Yes.
standing on the earth,
Yes. Yes.
he is up and down. Okay,
Okay. Yes. Yes.
reference is there.
Yes. Yes. Earth is reference. Yes.
Yeah. If I take you to space and put both of you up, okay, together, then who is inverse?
No, I cannot say that.
Okay, because there is no reference. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is okay. So here the database size is like reference plane,
Okay.
which will not change. Okay, you go anywhere. Okay, it will not change. Okay,
Change. Yes. Yes.
that is the power. So that's why we use this normalization.
Understood.
Okay, clear? So that's
Yeah.
why we normalize. That is why we always normalize, because we want to put everything in 0 and 1.
Yes.
Sometimes it is not possible, so it will go to 0 to infinity. But still, normalization is used to achieve it. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes we call frequency as support count, because we don't want to say frequency then support. Problematic. So many terms we don't want to use. So we simply say support count. Okay.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
we say a pattern is frequent if its support is greater than the user specified minimum support count. Okay. So if the user says a pattern should appear at least 35% of the times in the data, okay, then AB is a frequent pattern, right? Because
Yes.
support of AB is 40, which is more than the user specified threshold value.
Yes.
Okay. So we call AB as a frequent pattern.
Yes.
Clear?
Oh,
So this is the mathematical model. Any doubt in understanding the model? Please let me know. Students?
hello.
Yes? Can
Okay.
you?
I understand.
Okay, now what about others? There are so many students. Can they understand or not? At least I have to get some. There are 16 participants. So at least they can answer yes. They can chat, I think. Am I going, because since this is my first class,
Fine.
am I going fast or slow? I just want to know some feedback so I can improve for my next class.
No, I'm clear, Professor. Thank you.
Clear? Okay. Okay, fine. Okay. So now we understood the model. Okay. Now we have to
Okay.
define the model. Now we are defining the model. Carefully look at the definition. So what I am trying to say is, I am going to give you some database. Okay. I am going to give you some database. The input is minimum support. Okay.
Okay.
So these are the input parameters. Okay. Your mathematical model. Okay. It has to output all patterns that are appearing frequently in the data. So output all frequent patterns. Okay. So
Okay.
this is the definition. So this is the mathematical model and this is your definition.
Okay.
Find all, not one. Okay.
Okay.
You have to find all the frequent patterns that are appearing. Okay. So now we have completed the model. Now we look at the algorithm. Okay. So before going to algorithm, we have to understand one important search space. If you are a machine learning student, you should always have this. Remember this word, you have to remember search space. Where are you going to search for the data? Okay.
Okay.
So in the pattern mining, we have this is null set, okay, empty set,
Yes.
and these are all the patterns that are available in the data. Okay, assume
Yes.
I am giving you only 4 items.
Yes.
So this is called. Do you know what? Okay, I have written here. No. Do you know what is the term for this one?
Uh,
Mathematical term for this structure? This is called lattice.
okay.
CE or AC, I don't remember. This is called, I think CE. It is.
Okay. Lattice.
Lattice. So we call it, because there are item sets, right? So item.
Yes.
Sorry. What is the size of this lattice?
These are called lattice.
What is the size of this lattice? So there are 4 items, right?
Yes, 4 items. But
How many are there in the lattice?
for 15.
15. Okay, correct. So what is the relationship? I am giving you 4 items. There are 15, right? So what is the relationship?
4. Okay. That's mean
If I give you
15.
n items,
Yes.
then how
That's
many
mean
items is?
in power in in power n minus 1.
No. N
No,
power
sorry.
n?
No, sorry. N into n minus 1.
No. Because I gave you example, you are making 4 into 4, 16. So n into, no.
Okay.
Power
Oh,
n.
2 power n minus 1. Okay.
Okay. The size of the lattice is always 2 power n minus 1. Remember it. Okay.
Okay.
The problem is now n becomes huge. Okay. Assume in Yahoo or Amazon, there will be at least 10,000 items, right?
Yes.
So there is the such space is -1. Okay.
Okay.
Do we have resources to do this? Assume. Okay.
No,
See,
it's
no,
huge.
not. I will. My question is as follows. Okay. I
Okay.
see in the universe. Okay.
Okay.
There are electrons, right?
Yes.
Atoms are there, so there are electrons. Okay. So assume I am giving you the known universe. Known means how much we know. I am giving you the electronics of that universe
Okay.
to store. So assume I have some black box which can store the data in the electrons of the known universe. Okay.
Okay.
Now can you compute given that much resources? So 2 power n minus 1, see not 2 power. I am giving you the known universe. Can you
Okay.
do the computation for this one?
I think it's possible because 2 to the power 10,000 is not infinity. So
No, that I gave you known universe.
okay.
I never said entire universe. Okay, we don't know anything about universe. So whatever we have explored until now, okay, that is the known
Okay.
universe. I am giving you that one.
Okay.
The thing is not possible.
Okay.
Why? Because the quantum physics, okay,
Okay.
says that the total number of electrons in the known universe is less than 2 power 300 according to quantum physics and quantum computing. Okay.
Okay.
So if you don't have so many electrons, Okay, where will you store or where will you process the data?
Yes, yes.
Okay, it fails.
Okay. Okay.
Then how do you do this?
Yes.
This is common, right? But you want to mine patterns. How do we do that? This is the challenge. Got it? This is the problem with the search space.
Okay.
Okay, so here is it. So I have a huge search space. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I have 2 power n minus 1. How do I search it? I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
For this one, we have a smart solution. Okay. Something called a priori. Okay.
Okay.
So here is the example of a priori. Okay. Assume there are 2 students. Okay. A boy and a girl. Okay.
Okay.
So previous week, okay, a boy attended the class 4 days.
Okay.
The girl has attended the class 5 days.
5 days. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Now you want to know the maximum number of days both have attended the school together.
That's mean it's 4 days.
Yeah, why? Because
Yes.
you have to take a minimum, right?
Yes. Yes.
So let us see. Okay, minimum is 4. Okay. Now you see. Okay. Now I am saying if I set it to 5. Okay.
Okay.
Now do both kids attend the school frequently?
No.
Why? You have
Because
the answer here. Okay. Because the boy fails the test, right?
yes. Yes.
If he fails the test, he fails with everyone, whomever you add. Okay, you can add me or yourself. He fails with everyone with whom you add. Okay.
Okay.
So the thing is very simple. I will explain here. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the item set, right? If
Yes.
AB is failing the test, all his supersets will fail. You don't need to go beyond. This is called a priori property.
Okay.
Assume, okay, support of A is 4, okay? Support of B is 5, right?
Yes.
Now minimum support is 5,
4.
okay?
What's that meaning? Okay.
Minimum, this is user given threshold, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Now what is the maximum support AB can have? Maximum support AB can have
4.
4.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need to compute how many times it has appeared. It's because A has failed. Okay,
Yes.
all the subsets will fail.
Okay.
This is the power of the a priori property. Okay,
Okay.
this is the fundamental.
Yes.
We use this property to reduce the search space. Okay, now this is the lattice, right?
Yes.
So how do we do the search in this lattice? What are the algorithms we use? How do we search lattice? What is this one called? What is this one called? Anybody knows? They will get 5 marks.
Please ask the question again.
See, this is the lattice, right?
Okay.
I can search the lattice horizontally, or I
Okay.
can search the lattice vertically.
Vertically. Yes.
What are these search techniques called?
God.
Okay, horizontal is called breadth first search.
Oh. Yes. 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 And the vertically is called depth first search.
Depth
Okay.
first search. DFS, BFS.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So in this class, we will now look at only breadth first search. Okay, we don't have anything. We look at simple breadth first search, which is based on a priori property. Okay,
Okay.
okay, I have written here. Okay, good. Okay,
Okay.
so a priori algorithm. Okay, this is the algorithm that you try to read. I will try to explain the algorithm, okay, with example, so it is easy to understand. Okay, this is the database. Okay,
Okay.
I told you this is a transactional database, right?
Yes.
So what I can do? I can do multiple scan. Okay.
Okay.
So first what I will do is I will scan the data. Okay.
Okay.
And I will generate something called candidates. Candidate items. Okay.
Okay.
A candidate item sets of length 1. Okay. So I am scanning. I am measuring the candidates.
Yes.
Okay. Now I know the minimum support is 3. Okay.
Yes.
So what a priori property says? Any item that has support less than 3 will fail.
Okay.
Because H can't appear with other items and have count more than 1, right?
Yes. Yes.
So it will fail.
Yes.
Similarly, G can't have support more than 2.
True. Yes.
So they fail. And the remaining items, these are frequent.
Yes.
So what we do is we call them as frequent or large. Large or frequent items.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have these frequent items. Okay. Now what we do is we take these frequent items. Okay. L1. L is the length. Okay.
Okay.
And then what we do is we generate C2 by combining L1 join L1. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, here it is. Okay. I'm generating C2 by joining. Okay. Next what I will do is after generating, I don't have the support counts. Okay. I will again scan the database. Second scan the database.
Yes.
And I will measure the support count.
Okay.
Then what I do, okay, I know minimum support, right? Minimum support is 3. So what I do, I prune all the item sets that have less than 3. So I will get frequent item sets.
Yes.
Now what I will do is, I will take these L2s and I will generate C3 by performing L2 join L2.
L2.
Okay. But what happens is, it will not be generated. Why? Here is the reason. Okay. AB join CD you want to do. Okay.
Okay.
It will not generate because if you have to generate 3 length, right?
Yes.
So it has to be ABC only.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Means there should be AB join AC.
Yes.
So this item should be common.
Yes. Yes. Understood.
But these items are not common, right? So we can simply say that this ABC is infrequent. All the supersets are infrequent.
Okay.
Same one. So we no more generate anything. We stop here. So this is a priori algorithm. So any doubts in understanding this algorithm?
No.
Okay. Now you understood, right? Why we are performing the second scan. Okay.
Okay.
Because you are thinking that data is transactional by nature. I can scan it many times. Okay.
Yeah.
If I assume data as a stream, gone. Because you don't have the second scan on the data.
Yes. Yes.
Because once you scan the 10 transactions or 20 transactions, they are lost forever.
Yes.
Okay. That's the advantage. Now you understood why I am saying whenever you change the data, the model will not work.
Yes. Yes. Understood.
So this is it.
Okay.
Now I told you, okay?
Okay.
So till now we understood a pattern X, right? That is in our case AB, right?
Yes.
Now we will divide this pattern into 2 parts.
Okay.
Okay? Antecedent, consequent. Okay?
Okay.
So antecedent is A, and consequent is B. Okay.
Okay.
Note, there should not be common elements between A and B. For
Okay.
example, if you put A here, B will be here. Okay. If you put B here, A will be here.
Okay.
There should not be common elements. This is
Okay.
important.
Okay.
It should be an empty set. Okay. There will be
Okay.
no common. You simply have to split it. For example, if I have A, B, C, you can say A, B, C, A, B, C, okay, B,
Okay.
C, A, C, B. No problem. But they should be different. They should be different.
Okay.
Now what we say is once we divide this into antecedent and consequent, we establish something called antecedent implies consequent. That is A implies B. Okay.
Okay.
This is called association rule. Now we have some statistical parameter. Okay. Confidence of A implies B. How do we measure? Confidence of A implies B is support of A union B by support of A.
Okay.
This is called confidence.
Okay.
How confidently you can say that when A happens, B is going to happen. Confidence, okay? I can say, I will say when A happens, 80% of the time, B will also happen.
Heaven, yes.
Okay? That is the confidence. I want to measure that in probability, okay? So now what happens? Similarly, you want to measure confidence of B implies here. Same formula, okay? We measure them. Once we measure, we say that an association rule is interesting if the confidence is more than the user specified threshold value. Okay?
Okay.
That is min confidence. So here is the example. Okay. We have taken AB as a frequent pattern, right?
Yes.
We have divided into two rules.
Okay.
Now we are measuring the confidence of A implies B. Okay?
A plus B, yes.
Support of AB by support of A.
Yes.
8 by 12. Okay,
Yes.
that's 66%. Means whenever A is purchased, B is getting purchased at 66% of the time. That's
Yes.
all. However, if you see for the B, it was 88.8% of the time.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if the user says minimum confidence is 0.5, 75% or 0.75,
Yes.
we only say B implies A is interesting.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This is uninteresting. Okay. I hope this is clear.
Yes, clear.
Okay. So this is called association rule mind. Again, any questions?
No.
I think we still have plenty of time, right? 10 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, no questions. Everything is clear.
Yes, most of the thing is clear.
Okay. Now I give you one simple food for thought. You try to answer it. Okay.
Okay.
I am having items here. Okay. Frequency is here. Clear?
Okay.
What is this distribution called?
Frequency.
No, this one, this line. How
Okay.
how does the distribution of this line look like?
When frequency is rising, the item is.
No, these are items. This is A, B, C, D,
Oh.
E, so on up to
Okay.
alpha Greek letters we got. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So for each item has purchased so many times in the data. Okay.
Okay.
Now tell me what is this line say? What is the nature of this line? What can tell me what is this line?
Is exponential when.
What is this dotted line first? This is linear. If
Okay. Okay.
Y is increased, this is linear.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What is this line?
This car. No.
You said correctly only in the beginning.
Curve.
Exponential.
Exponential. Okay.
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 This is also called long tail. You see, there's a big tail. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
What is the nature of this? Have you heard about your 80-20 rule?
No.
Yeah, I think I will explain previous class. What 80-20 rule says is, if you take any real world application, okay?
Okay.
If you take Amazon, okay? Only 20% of the items are frequently purchased.
Oh.
Okay? 80% of the items are infrequently purchased.
Okay.
Okay? Clear?
Clear.
Okay. Now, if okay, clear?
Clear.
Okay. Now I am giving you data of this nature.
Okay.
Okay. Long tail distribution or exponential distribution. Okay. And if I ask you to implement frequent pattern mining, okay,
Okay.
do you find any problem, or you think it will work?
Okay. You keep the infrequent.
I ask you to implement frequent pattern mining.
No, it's not work because you give me the infrequent pattern, infrequent data.
Means you are close. Close.
You give me the infrequent data and you want the frequent pattern. So it's not work.
Why I can decrease the support very low. I can set very low support, right?
Okay.
I can set support very low, right?
Very low, yes.
That is up to me, right?
Okay, yes.
Then okay, tell me, will it work or will it not work? What happened?
Okay.
I told you, right? Theoretical scientist will not look at the data. He will only look at the nature of the data. Okay. Skewed distribution, what kind of distribution and all, right?
That means work. It work.
It works. If it works, why it will work? If it will not work, why it will not work?
It will work because I'm not looking at the data. I'm just looking at the nature.
No, not like that.
Okay.
See, the thing is,
maybe the data is my interesting part, because the data more than the means serve. So it can work. No,
it works.
Yes, it works.
It works, but it's useless. It works, but it is useless. Why? Assume I am setting
yes, it's useless.
Yeah. Why? Okay. So here is the thing. Okay. If I specify high minimum support, okay. High minimum support. What happens? I will generate only these ones, right? All these ones will be getting pruned, right? Yeah. The one that you said in the beginning. Okay. I don't know your name.
Okay.
The one who said that you are asking about infrequent patterns.
Okay.
Yeah. What is your name?
My name is Rehan Kovir.
Rehan Kovir. Interesting. Okay. Rehan. So one is, if I say specify high minimum support, I miss the knowledge pertaining to rare items, right?
Yes.
So what I have to do, I have to set low minimum support. Okay.
Okay.
When I set low minimum support, what happens is these frequent items, right?
Yes.
They combine with one another. Assume A has appeared 10,000 times. Okay.
Okay.
I think I have to put one more zero. Okay. B has appeared 10,000 times. These are bread and jam. Okay.
Okay.
The next one is TV and fridge. They have appeared only 100 times. Let us assume. Okay. Assume only 100. Okay.
Okay.
Now AB have appeared together only 100 times.
Okay.
TV fridge have appeared. TV fridge have appeared 100 times.
Okay.
Do you feel this is interesting? AB is interesting
No, no, no.
because, but the thing is, the model will generate this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
TPP is interesting because
this is interesting. This is uninteresting, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So this is the limitation. Okay.
Okay.
So every model, okay, in the research papers, there will be something called implicit assumptions. Okay. Every model, okay, any machine learning model, CNN, neural networks, whatever it is, everything will assume some implicit assumption. Okay.
Okay.
In a priori case, in frequent pattern mining, what it assumes is all items have same frequency, uniform frequency.
Okay.
Okay. So I will try to use one minimum support.
Yes.
But the reality is non-uniform frequency, right?
Yes.
So when we give this one, a priori will miss the knowledge pertaining to rare items.
Yes.
This is called rare item problem.
Okay.
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 Even machine learning will, even I think till today, machine learning can't handle rare item problem. The rare item problem intensifies actually in the machine learning. Because when you do a dimensionality reduction, these rare items become insignificant. So you miss it.
Okay.
So that is important. Okay. You look at how you can solve this problem. Okay. So now the time is also ready. Hope I have explained. So any feedback on my class so I can improve for the next one?
Okay.
Is the class okay? Are you
Yes.
able to understand most of it at least? Is it okay? So any feedback? No, nothing? Okay. If you give me, then I can improve myself. Because because if it is in the class, I can interact. In the online, it is hard for me. Hope everything is clear. Okay, now I will end this session. If you have any doubts, please send an email to me. Okay, it's in the course website. Thank you for listening. Okay, bye.
Bye, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Is Spike Sensei here? Spike Sensei? Okay, I think Sensei is not here. I will take leave now. Okay. Thank you.